Welcome to the Hormone Hub, your go-to source for the conversations every woman in her 40s and 50s needs to have. I'm your host, Kylie Pinwill, your nutritionist helping you navigate your way through perimenopause, menopause and beyond so you can say goodbye to the endless fatigue, unexplained weight gain, hot flushes, PMS, mood changes and more that come on this hormonal roller coaster. If you missed the memo or think this is only for women of a certain age, ladies, it's time to think again. Now sit back, relax, and enjoy the show. Don't forget to hit subscribe so you don't miss any of my latest episodes, which are released every week. Share it with your friends, your sweaty sisters. The more we talk, the more we help each other. Ladies, let's talk perimenopause because no one else is. So perimenopause isn't determined by a test. More so, it's the signs and symptoms, and it's a natural sequence of hormonal events that happen in the 5 to 10 years before menopause. Yep, you heard that right. All women have a different experience, and the good news is it does not last forever. As our hormones change, so do our symptoms. So what kind of symptoms? It could be fatigue, weight gain, migraines, sweats, anxiety, depression, heavier periods, lighter periods, pelvic pain, sore breasts, muscle and joint pain, all the joys. So what's really going on? So today I'm going to run through the 4 stages of perimenopause, what you can expect and also what you can do. So we don't wake up one day and boom, we're in menopause. Okay, so rather, this is what no one tells us, a series of hormonal changes that cause really subtle changes in women, while others will experience more severe symptoms. So these can start, anywhere up until 10 years before we go through menopause. So yes, you heard that right, ladies. It can start, in our late 30s. And no one ever tells us what's going on. Okay, so first up, and the first things which we may or may not even notice is our body starts, as we go through our monthly cycles, we start to produce less progesterone. So this can happen, like I said, late 30s to early 40s. You might still be having regular periods, but these progesterone levels, will drop. And the symptoms that come from this can be an increase in anxiety or, anxiety that you've never had before. It can be breast pain, heart palpitations, night sweats, migraines, crazy heavy periods. Okay. So as we're sort of losing progesterone, the next kind of stage is also high fluctuating estrogen. Okay. So we can experience higher levels of estrogen, and this can be up to 3 times higher than what we would normally have. So just this alone. So if we think of estrogen, quite inflammatory. So irritable moods, breast pain, really heavy periods again, and this excess estrogen can really inflame our histamine levels. So if you've never had, or, you've never had allergies before, or you've, had asthma, hay fever, sinus, we can become more sensitive and also to the histamines in food. Okay, so the next stage we sort of go through is lower levels of estrogen. So when the spikes of high estrogen suddenly drop down to low estrogen, this is where, we start to experience hot flushes, insomnia, brain fog. Our periods are now irregular. We might be going months in between. So this is kind of like the sign or symptoms that we're getting closer. So when we're in menopause, so this is when our estrogen levels are low, our progesterone levels are low. It's been a year or more since your last period. That's when you're officially in menopause. And with this, we become more sensitive to insulin resistance, which makes us more sensitive to weight gain. We're, become more sensitive to stress. So again, weight gain. Hot flushes, insomnia, memory loss, dry vaginas, dry skin, all of it. So if any of these stages are kind of standing out for you, send me a DM. I'd love to hear your experience. Okay, so that's sort of like that in a snapshot, more to it. But what if you're sitting there and you're like, okay, well, that's all well and good, but I had a hysterectomy.
or I've had an ablation, or I've got a mirena in, or I'm on the pill. And this is what no one, again, tells us, that if your ovaries are still intact, or if you have a mirena, you can still go through these 4 phases of perimenopause. And this can be really confusing because there's this assumption out there that just because we don't have our periods anymore, we're done. Okay, not so. So you can have years of hidden cycling. So if you're experiencing, mood changes, breast pain, pelvic pain, headaches, it's worth trying to see if there is a pattern with this. So menopause, it's a really important window for our future health. So any small issues, if the earlier we get onto them, like anything with our health, the earlier we get onto them and address them, the less chance that they're going to amplify into something bigger and more permanent. So ladies, now is the time to start small, realistic changes that can pay out in the long term. So if this is ringing any alarm bells for you and you would like our help, you can absolutely book in a call and chat to one of my team. Like the sooner we get onto this, the better.
This Hormone Hub episode is sponsored by my popular workshop, which is now available on demand, The Ultimate Guide to Balancing Your Hormones. If you're constantly feeling tired, struggling with weight gain, PMS, mood swings, bloating, not sleeping at night, cravings, anxiety, blah, 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 all the things, these are all frustrating signs of a hormonal imbalance, and I'm ready to help. In this free masterclass, I explain what causes this hormone imbalance and, most importantly, what you can do about it. I'll give you some awesome practical solutions so you can ditch those sugar cravings, regain your energy, and shift that stubborn weight that's been growing around your middle. The link with all the details is on our show notes or over at kyliepinwell.com.
Okay, so what can I expect and how bad is it going to be? Something I get asked all the time. So it really depends. So 30% of women will sail through perimenopause and not really even notice, which is great. And that's the way it should be. Now, 30% of women will suffer debilitating symptoms that will impact their day-to-day life. And the rest of us are generally somewhere in between. Okay, so we might have niggly, annoying symptoms, but, we can still kind of get on with things. And your actual success is going to depend on a few different things. So first up, one of those things is genetics. So if we're sort of looking at the experience of your mum, your aunts, older sisters, that can give you some insight into what you can expect. And fortunately, genes are only part of the story. Okay, so the expression of these genes can definitely be modified by, our nutrition, exercise, supporting a healthy lifestyle, and this includes managing your stress and also learning good, healthy sleep habits as well. So it also can depend on our general health. So perimenopause 100% can exacerbate any underlying issues. So if we've got, any nutrient deficiencies, if we've got digestive issues, if we've got, sort of sluggish liver, if you're tending towards mild sort of insulin resistance, high blood pressure, anything like this, this can put you into full-blown insulin resistance. An early sign of this is that abdominal weight gain. Or, that spare tire tummy that no one wants. Another thing that can ease your perimenopause sort of experience is, if you've always had mild and symptom-free periods, you're more likely to experience an easy perimenopause. So this is really a good indication that everything's working well. If you've had difficult, painful or heavy periods, it means that the same issues that affect your periods, that hormone imbalance, affect your experience through perimenopause. So really, like a healthy period is one that just arrives. There's, no sort of big, obvious PMS, generally pain-free, bleed 4 to 5 days, we're not bleeding through, anything like that. That is what a regular period is like. Okay, so that's normal. And I know as women that so many have, it becomes your normal, because that's what you've always had, but it doesn't necessarily mean that everything is as it should be. Okay, another interesting thing with perimenopause is it does cross over with a lot of other conditions. So things like thyroid disease, underactive thyroid, overactive thyroid, things like fibromyalgia, they're all often mistaken for each other because the symptoms are quite similar and all are amplified by perimenopause too. So it's important to be aware that, these need to be investigated and supported as well. So one good thing to bear in mind is the better health you're in leading up to menopause, and the sooner we get onto this, the better the long-term result. So ladies, you have got a whole lot of life left to live, so it is never too late to make some changes. Okay, so we don't just wake up one day and find ourselves in this. It's a actual sequence of hormonal events that happen in the 5 to 10 years before menopause. So some of us won't even know. Most of us won't even know what's going on. There might be some subtle changes, and for others, it will impact their day-to-day life. So all women have a different experience. And the good news is, and the thing to remember is it doesn't last forever. As our hormones change and as we sort of go through their sort of phases, so too do our symptoms. Thank you for taking the time to listen today. You can head on over to the show notes at kyliepinwell.com/podcast, where you'll find all the links, and I have a little bonus surprise waiting for you. Before we go, it would mean the world to me if you head on over to your favourite podcast channel, subscribe and leave a review. Make sure to screenshot it, DM it to me so I can thank you personally. Then stay tuned for next week's episode. Can't wait to see you then.